Hi, my name's Earl Bergeron. Welcome to my new YouTube channel, Maine Maritime Academy, after graduation. I put an introduction onto my YouTube channel, but I have to interview myself as I'm interviewing others to show their perspective of what they've done since they graduated from Maine Maritime Academy. I got to interview myself. To be truthful, this is my fifth interview. First four I botched. So I'm going to try to do this one right with the correct lighting and nice ambiance of being outside. Anyways, here we go. Sorry I have to keep looking down. I have an interview format that I have to follow myself. So here we go. I was born in Skowhegan, Maine in 1958, moved to Farmington, Maine, and graduated from Mount Blue High School in 1976. I went to Maine Maritime. I graduated in 1981. I studied nautical science, which is becoming a deck officer in the Merchant Marine, and completed that in 1981. So, one of my questions is, why did you decide to attend Maine Maritime Academy? Well, for me, I was always interested in the ocean. I became a certified scuba diver at 16. I just thought Maine Maritime would allow me to see the world and, frankly, dive in some exotic places. That really never happened. But anyways, it was a good thought. And I enjoyed going to Maine Maritime Academy, and my second choice, plan B, probably would have been to enlist in the Coast Guard. So it's good plan A worked out. So my experience at Maine Maritime was typical of any Maine kid. One of my probably biggest issues was I was 17 when I entered Maine Maritime. I probably could have used another year, maybe a year of prep school, because I had to repeat the second semester of my freshman year because I just didn't do good in the English and the physics and the calculus. So I repeated my second semester of my freshman year, and the rest, I guess, is history, as I was able to graduate in 1981. Things were a lot easier for me when we got to the professional classes, the navigation, the seamanship. It was the calculus and the physics that I guess didn't like me very well. Anyways, my experience at Maine Maritime was good. I didn't have any problems with the discipline of the military side of it. My difficult time was academics. And I got up at 5 o'clock every morning, and that's when I studied, because there wasn't people knocking on my door asking me to go do things that I shouldn't have been doing but studying. So I got up and studied in the morning, and put a blanket over my roommates and just turned a low light on, and I did my studying then. It was very beneficial for me to do it that way, as there were no distractions. But no, the instructors, the professors were great. The cruises were good. We didn't go far because there wasn't much fuel, because it was in the 70s with the oil embargo and all that stuff. We went up and down the coast, and we did go to Bermuda, but it was a great experience. After I graduated from Maine Maritime in 1981, I got a job on a ocean tug and barge company down at Harvey, Louisiana, called Dixie Carriers. That didn't especially appeal to me, so I went and got a job with Military Sealift Command. Now, mind you, getting a deck officer's job at that time was very, very difficult. So I sailed AB, able seaman, which was okay. It was when you become a chief mate and you look back and you have a seaman complaining to you, and you say, well, I know right how you feel, and they say, no, you don't. You go, well, yeah, I do. I think sometimes it was a blessing to have sailed unlicensed. So I sailed for MSC for a little bit, and then I was able to get on the first maritime preposition ship, the Lewis Haughey. I got on it as AB before the union contract was signed, so the Seafarers International Union had to accept me, as I was already employed. So I worked for a year as AB on a couple of different MERS ships, and then in 1985 I was asked to join American Maritime Officers, where I sailed from 1985 to 2012. I sailed 7 years or so with Maersk Line, My last ship was the Maersk Constellation. It was a combination railroad container ship. That's where I really cut my teeth, because I sailed on there as third mate, second mate, and chief mate. And I knew the ship like the back of my hand, and that's really where I learned about how to lash cargo and how to lash cargo when there's no places to lash. You figure it out pretty quick. From there, I went to, shipped off the board for a couple of 3 years and did some other things. I kept my time in the Union good, so I didn't lose any lost time that way. And in the late 90s, I guess 97 or so, I went to work as chief mate on the... No, I went to work as second mate on the Cape Washington with American Overseas Marine, where I stayed the last 17 years I sailed. I sailed with American Overseas Marine. Primarily on the MARAD Ready Reserve ships and the large medium speed roll-on roll-offs, the LMSRs and the sea lift ships. And my last job was captain on the USNSA, 951 feet long. So I retired from there. I surveyed for a couple of 3 years. Really kind of had a tough time making enough capital to pay myself. I could pay my bills and do my jobs, but I did not have enough money to pay myself. So I had to get a real job. In 2015, I went to Jacksonville to work for Crowley as Manager of Operations Integrity for Crowley Government Services. With Crowley Government Services in that job, my major responsibility was implementation of the safety management system, incident investigations, near-miss reporting. I was very fortunate that the 22 vessels that I managed, I knew a lot of the captains, had sailed with a lot of the people. If I hadn't sailed them, I knew them from other ships or being in Diego Garcia in the 2000s. So it made it very good working relationship with the various captains and chief mates and chief engineers that I had worked with previously. So I worked for Crowley from 2015 to 2020 when I was laid off due to COVID, and since then I retired. When they laid me off, I basically retired. I was close enough. I didn't really look for any other work. So what I do now is I'm president of the Casco Bay chapter of the Maine Maritime Academy Alumni Association. In that position, we reach out, we give scholarships, we have events to fund scholarships, and I run our Facebook page, Maine Maritime Academy Alumni Association Casco Bay chapter on Facebook. That's where all the chapter information gets disseminated. I just continue to work with people I know. I'm able to contact union officials. I have people sometimes call me with a problem, and I contact the union officials because I know them personally, which is a good part of my role in retirement. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you'd like to participate and get a video on my YouTube page, I'd really like to interview you. I think it's important that these kids know what challenges are ahead of them. I had a second mate I interviewed earlier today, a friend of mine, and it's the challenges that I faced 20 years ago versus the challenges he faces now are a lot different. You know, we had paper charts. He lost his both X's going into port, so he had no navigation at all. Where we would have just kept on going on the chart. So it's interesting to hear these stories and the good and the bad of the industry. So thanks for watching, and if you want to participate, you know where I am.